Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege and pleasure to invite you to this roundtable. The Hindu presents IBM AI at Work. The topic for today's discussion is navigating AI investment and scalability, strategies for corporate and government leaders. Thank you so much for being here today, this evening. And to lead us off into this, I just want to set the context a little bit before we get into the questions. As AI adoption intensifies across industries and public sector, leaders are grappling with a core challenge: how to translate rising AI investments into measurable, sustainable outcomes. For the participants from the corporate sector, this translates to ROI. This is discussions that you have with the finance folks practically every month, every quarter. And for our panelists who are here from the government, this is about measurable, sustainable outcomes. With fast evolving capabilities, fluctuating infrastructure costs, and new strategic risks, AI is no longer just a technical decision. It is an enterprise-wide and national investment decision. This roundtable brings together business, technology, strategy, and public policy leaders to examine how organizations and government bodies can balance ambition and accountability in AI. This conversation will explore the levers of cost-effective scalability, frameworks for making investments, and ways to ensure AI delivers meaningful value. We'll now look at how to build long-term capability, avoid pitfalls, and stay ahead of disruption without overspending. Ultimately, this discussion aims to help leaders think of AI as a value engine rather than a cost center. Just before we go in, there are a few data points that I had to lead this conversation. Global enterprise AI spending crossed $200 billion in 2025. Yet only 23 to 25% of organizations can measure ROI beyond anecdotal value. Nearly 70% of AI initiatives fail to move beyond pilots, creating sunk costs and decision fatigue. Organizations that leverage AI for revenue generation, like personalization, predictive sales, new product offerings, see 2 to 5x of ROI compared to limited gains when AI is used only for automation. Fewer than 30% of enterprises have a formal value framework for AI, leading to output metrics instead of outcome metrics. Misalignment between a CFO who looks at it with a 12 to 24 month ROI and a CIO or CTO who is looking at a 48 to 60 month capability cycle remains a major barrier to sustained value capture. So in many cases, it boils down to the fact that the biggest determinant of AI ROI is not model performance or anything technical, it's leadership alignment, value governance, and discipline prioritization. So this is what we're going to lead with. Anurag, please introduce yourself first, and then I'll ask the first question.
Sure. So I'm Anurag Srivastava. I head the data science and AI team for PNB Housing Finance Limited.
Thank you. How should organizations define and measure ROI for AI beyond cost savings?
So I think the problem is not in defining ROI because those metrics are pretty obvious and pretty well documented. When I, as a head of AI, look at any project and I discuss with the CFO, CEO, or any of the functional heads in business, one of the four boxes have to be ticked. Either it has to impact the revenue, or it has to improve productivity, it should have impact on risk, or finally there should be some customer experience related metrics. If one of these four boxes get ticked, then ROI is pretty simple to compute. What area I'm going to impact using this solution, and what are going to be key metrics that are going to be evaluated. I think the challenge is not with ROI computation. The challenge is with understanding of that ROI and defining, rather sharing the responsibility of that ROI. If the AI head is taking up a project or a solution just from the point of view of proving a technical sophistication that has been achieved by the organization, the project might remain always in a pilot phase and might never see a valid business impact. But when that project or solution is co-owned by the business head, so suppose I'm doing something for sales and the sales head is a part of that ownership along with the AI head, then we define the key metrics at the onset of the program that what this pilot is going to do. And yeah, when I'm saying pilot, I prefer to use a word which I say minimum viable impact project. That even in that pilot, I should be able to show certain value to the business. That if we are going to take it to scale, the value will be into X, but a minimum value can be seen from this pilot itself. So when these solutions or these products are co-owned by business along with the AI leads, I think that's where you have the maximum possibility of success, because the metrics then don't remain just a AI head's project showcase at the end of the year during appraisal that I delivered this project. Rather, they become a business head's a project as well, and his achievement as well, that this is what we developed as a unit, we deployed and we saw some gains. Now we can move to stage 2. So that's what my take is with respect to ROI.
Geeta, as an IBM CTO, you would have had multiple conversations with prospective clients as well as clients around ROI. What are your perspectives on this?
So first of all, I actually told Anurag that I may copy MVIP,
Yes.
okay, because it's a pretty good term. I think I always had the conversation around MVP or pilots, never MVIP, though intent is that how do you gauge the impact part of it. I think there is, if I were to converge, let's say, the different parts which Anurag spoke about, whether it's risk, whether it's cost, I think the way we are looking at AI ROI, I think there is one common theme in all of this, which is productivity. Okay, and productivity doesn't necessarily mean reducing number of people. I think what we're saying that what your risk officer does today with X efficiency will be increases efficiency by delta. Okay, or if today, let's say, the loan department is doing something which they probably disburse a loan in 7 days, and now they will be able to disburse in 4 days, doesn't mean you reduce people, means you actually increase number of loans, which means sales will increase for you. But ultimately the ROI, when we're talking about, I think the lens of productivity helps not purely by reducing number of human bodies. It's saying that, and this is an interesting conversation I had with one of the CEO who challenged me almost 2 years back when the agentic AI came and we were discussing ROI. He said, I buyed your argument that my salespeople will be able to do this more efficiently and maybe less number of days. But tell me what they should be doing in free time. That is more important to know. So I think the way to look at ROI would be that in entire organization, if you measure it in pockets, it will be very difficult, because even loan goes through 5 departments, right? But if every department does only its own thing, it will be very difficult to justify ROI. I think my experience says that if organization first of all start to look end to end, so that even cross-functional department impacts are taken care, then ROI is high from a perspective. And depending on industry to industry, sometime ROI matrix differs, because let's say if he's in the B2C consumer part of it, the way they will look at ROI would be either saying that how you reduce customer service load or you increase revenue per customer, right? That's your focus would be. So I would say if you put productivity as a core pillar and then enterprise wide ROI rather than specific pillar, because specific pillar will be very difficult to justify. That's probably my take in experiencing with clients as well as IBM's own experience.
Interesting. Mansi, as global head for cybersecurity and infra at Apollo, you must be using AI in multiple ways. Of course, you will be deploying AI as part of the infrastructure for business use, but I'm also keen to understand how you look at ROI from your AI deployments for cybersecurity.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Sorry I'm late. So it's a very good question, I think. And cyber was, I would say, evolved faster for AI, use of AI than the other sectors which are now warming up. And what I see from last 2 years, the tools which we have deployed from to not to name them, but the world leaders in cybersecurity, they have been using AI a lot, and it has helped us how. So just to give you an example, like when I joined Apollo 4 years back, so maybe an incident which we used to get was like around 15,000 a month. And then we deployed some tools which were like AI centric, because the formula I follow is that at least 80% of your work should be automated, rather be it AI, be it whatever, so that your team can concentrate, as you rightly said, on the 20% of tasks. So if the mundane task, everything can be done automatically. So, and we saw a drastic decrease by putting these tools. So like if we were externally managed service, if we were using 14 people, we were now using 2. So these kind of productivity, not productivity, even the people reduced. And then we use those extra FTEs which we have to do very sophisticated cybersecurity trainings and stuff like that. So one is of course that where cybersecurity is concerned. Second, I think what we are seeing drastically in AI is that how to put in guardrails where AI is really looming in all the technologies and all the manufacturing of the world. How do we use AI to safeguard AI? So that is the second ROI which we are looking at. That yes, it is a huge investment, and I think most of the people are not too sure right now. The framework is still very very in a baby step stage. Everybody wants to know what to do around it. So that is the second ROI which I really see, that how we deploy AI in cybersecurity world to ensure that we are using the best practices and safeguard our data and not just take it anywhere.
Just a quick follow-up. So it's when we talk about ROI, and we just moved into ROI, the question from scaling perspective also.
Yeah.
So we spoke about the MVIP, which I think I'll also steal from Anurag now. The MVIP, but I've noticed in many cases that sometimes the model, when I say model, I don't mean the AI model, but our revenue, cost, ROI, that the business model part, the business case part of it, will work out nicely at the pilot level, but may or may not translate when it's full scale. How do we ensure that the value capture happens at scale?
So I think, as I said, you define the parameters which you are evaluating at the initial stage of the MVIP. How to take it at its scale? The design of experiment becomes very critical in this whole jigsaw. If you have not done proper test control scenario, if you have not done proper A/B testing, the first bottleneck that most of the pilots face is that you are not able to differentiate the pure impact of AI intervention in the gains that you are seeing in that project. There is a muddy water in between. The business would like to say that this is because of our increased effort, our manual interventions, and the IT or the AI team would prefer to say this is because of the machine intervention. So that's why I said the design of the experiment at the onset of that project is very critical to it. Once you are able to prove that thing in that MVIP stage that this works, the second biggest hurdle is the adoption of that solution at a scale. Now, at a scale, a lot of these solutions, the technology solutions, AI solutions fail because we are not able to get proper adoption. an AI model or a machine learning algorithm is as good as it is adopted by the organization. I might be building the most statistically sophisticated algorithm, which does wonders on back-tested data. But when I deploy it real time, if those algorithms or the framework defined by that algorithm is not followed through strategically by the business people who are on ground, who are leveraging that information, or who are being enabled by that information, that's where one of the biggest failures happen. That's when we say that at scale it's not working. Whereas technology point of view, the solution is working. It's science, it's math, it's stats. You change the parameter from one scale to another, the solution does not become ineffective. The problem is the adoption was challenged. Third part, a lot of times we fail when we move to at scale deployment, the governance framework is not accurate. We lack on the governance side. Why? As I mentioned in my opening statement, that joint ownership. It becomes like it's like the IT heads or the AI heads' responsibility to completely own the governance, deployment, management, everything. That's where if something fails, because the business leaders are not tracking it very closely, it's AI head's responsibility or CTO's responsibility. Something goes kaput, it's like, well, yeah, fine. We have no stake in the game. Someone else built it. Someone else failed out there. So that's why I think that governance framework where you are monitoring these solutions, having something like a model inventory, model registry, a proper MLOps environment, documentation, explainability. Another challenge, explainability. In pilot stage, people are fine with the outcome that they say. The moment you deploy it at scale, and there are certain conflicts which will come as a part of business, you will face some conflicting outcomes. If your solution lacks explainability, that's where you lose faith and trust with the business because you can't explain a particular outcome. So therefore, governance becomes very critical to make sure that the solution becomes successful at scale.
I would like to add to
Sure,
what
yeah.
he's saying, that one more thing which I feel which is very important is the art of the possible. So the teams, they're so busy in operations, production and all. If you can show them the art of the possible, that what AI can do for you, I think that is the key which we are doing in our organization. That all that is very important, of course, the governance and everything. But if they feel that this will help me grow my production, my improve the quality of my people, they can do some other task which is there, then it is a success. The POC is a success. And then that's what we have seen wherever we were able to really inculcate to the plant head that this is really going to help you, and this is what you can also think of out of the box. It has really taken multifold commitment from them. They are running after us that please implement more.
Talking about scale, what could be bigger than the population of India? And we have 3 representatives from government here, and I would like to pick their brains on related topics. And it's interesting that when we talk about government initiatives and government projects, we are talking about everybody who lives in India. And from a corporate standpoint, even the biggest corporate is going to operate on a fraction of that population, right? The fraction might be big, but it's still not the entirety. So I am delighted to have Sudeep answer the first question that I have for this, which is around how do you see the whole sovereign play for India? The India AI mission is set up, it's guided many things for us till now. We're just coming off a very, very successful AI summit. Absolutely never seen that kind of energy before. And obviously, going back to scale again, none of the AI summits have ever been as big as this. Not just because India is a big country, but even just from a summit standpoint, the sheer number of people who came in and the variety of people who came in was just amazing. I was just mentioning to him earlier that he asked me whether I had attended any of the sessions, and I said I came to the sidelines of the event, but even there I could see the kind of energy and potential this thing was unlocking. So, your views?
So, sovereign stack is what the government of India has been trying for. And we were listening when our co-panelists were talking about ROI. So there is one thing called RFI, which is Return for India. And that is what is the focus of this government is. India AI mission was launched in March 24 with intention to make India AI ready. And there are 7 pillars in this mission. These pillars are the compute pillar, the foundation model pillar, which is also known as the innovate center pillar, the future skilling pillar, the application pillar, the safe and reliable AI pillar, then future skills pillar, and the startup financing pillar. And there is one last pillar, which is the AI course or the data pillar. So I will be describing some of them in the due course of discussion. But coming back to the question of sovereign stack, you see AI stack has got 5 layers. The first layer is of course the energy layer. So when we say energy layer, it is basically the power requirement that is there for AI. The second layer is the chip layer or the GPU layer, where we have the basic compute that is getting commissioned or installed, or the chip is getting fabricated. Then we have got the third layer, which is the data center layer or the CSP layer, the cloud service provider layer. The fourth layer is the model layer, and the fifth layer is the application layer. So Government of India has taken steps for having sovereignty across these layers. We always believe that only a strong sovereign nation can protect not only its own interests but also the interest of the humanity. So in energy layer, basically you must have heard of the Shanti bill that was enacted by Parliament. So under that we intend to meet the energy requirements that will increase on account of your AI or the data center needs. As far as the second layer, which is the chip layer, is concerned, we have come up with, the government has come up with various schemes like the PLI, productivity link incentive, electronic component manufacturing scheme, design link incentive. The third layer, where we have already empaneled almost 14 CSPs and some more are in process of being empaneled. So this is the layer where we will have the CSPs who will provide the compute to us. We are also having our own data centers that will be coming up, and if you have seen the budget announcement this year, the intent is very clear that we want that India may become the data center capital or the compute capital of the world. Coming to the fourth layer, which is the foundation layer, we have already shortlisted 12 startups that are making foundation level models, indigenous foundation models. Some of them were inaugurated during the course of the summit from Servam, some from BharatGen, from Gyani. Then a few more startups are likely to be selected in due course of time. The fifth layer is the application layer. So we have got so many use cases in India. So it is one area in which we have got so much rich experience, so much experience with us, that this application layer is one layer where we are already the world leaders. So ultimately objective is that India will have a sovereign AI stack, and it will not only be serving the requirements of India but also of the entire global south.
That's wonderful. And moving on to some of the specifics in terms of how this could work out. We are still talking about scale, and we are talking about national scale, sovereign scale. Mohit, how can government agencies make sure that scalable solutions are deployed at scale across broad public service?
Yeah, thank you. One can draw a lesson from the telecom sector that if AI is deployed at scale at the operational level, then it can be deployed successfully. I would like to give an example of 5G. When 5G was conceptualized, the AI was not a buzzword. It was conceptualized around 2012-2015 period, and AI was embedded into it later, in the 3GPP release 16, 17 and 18. So, but 5G networks today, what we see are AI ready. The operators, telecom service providers are using AI for network planning, network optimization, energy efficiency, and fraud detection, scam prevention, and a lot of these things they are using. So now we are moving to the networks which are AI ready from the conceptualized state, like 6G networks. 6G networks are AI native. So it is AI also being used beyond the network operations, like digital twin. Digital twin technologies uses telecom data for the planning of the, for example, highways, for the planning of the train routes, in which the people are moving from direction A to direction B, in which direction the infrastructure should be built. So like this, if we are using AI at the core level, at the infra level, then only we can get the full potential of the AI.
It's surprising that very early on, all the telecom related infrastructure got laid down along railway lines or along highways. But today we are talking about using the AI infrastructure that telecom provides to plan the normal regular infrastructure.
So we can say that AI is the brain and telecom network is the this nervous system that is transporting the intelligence to the every people on the country in the country.
Right, right. Dr. Angel.
Another interesting fact, our department has also very closely linked with railways as
Yes.
well as telecom. So I would like to stress on here the digital public infrastructure. So that provides layers on which probably AI can work. Like for example, Aadhaar. Today a data has come out where 144 crore Aadhaar have been issued and over 2,500 crore authentications have happened. So even our Department of Post is building a layer, it's called DigiPin. So whereby it's like a 10-digit alphanumeric code whereby you can actually give your address very specifically, and this can help, you know, like AI come up with solutions. So we are providing that layer on which probably AI can build up, provide inclusive services for our citizens as well. So the digital public infrastructure, I think we are driving. So that's what I would like to stress upon.
Thank you. Geeta, IBM has been the first hyperscaler. I know IBM doesn't like to be called a hyperscaler, but in this particular context of putting up infrastructure, particularly your sovereign infrastructure play for India and also the quantum computing infrastructure play. Could you weigh in on that?
Sure, and I think probably I will add on a little bit on what Sudeep ji has said, right? So this whole sovereign core infrastructure, the model layer especially, right? Bharat Gen's, like so the Bharat Gen, I think IBM also chimed in through IBM research to say that, because see, if you see today, most of the models are built on global data sets. These models which Sarvam, Bharat Gen are building are really on the India data set. Now building model one time could be still a okay activity, but if you were to continuously enhance the model, I think these people don't have the kind of funding or access to the data, because India, we don't have that much data which can be used to train the model, what global models will have, right? So as a contribution to sovereign AI model part, I'll come to infrastructure. IBM has actually enabled likes of Bharat Gen to use our research toolkit to continuously enhance the model. And in fact, in India AI Impact Summit, there was an announcement happened on the entire sovereign AI stack, which IBM is empowering to Bharat Gen, Next Gen, and we are going to pilot with Andhra. So Andhra Pradesh is going to pilot that. So I think sovereign core AI, as you said, sir, I think it's extremely important because every country wants to have a control of that part of it. Now coming to the infrastructure part of it, right? I think there are few aspects we are trying to work, and I will also introduce you to a new product which IBM is introducing. It's called Sovereign Core. It's a software, okay? Because what we are realizing, as you were also saying, Mansi, that and you also said in adoption, governance, risk are very critical, and people don't feel comfortable if they are like scaling. So we introduced this product called Sovereign Core. It's still not general availability. It will be made available. We announced it to say that if sitting in your enterprise, you can have full control of all the AI models you are using, irrespective. You can use BharatGen, Sarvam, some IBM Granite model, LLM, Llama model, anything. But you know that I have a control point with me on premise, with me in my data center, my enterprise. If I am using, let's say, 3 hyperscalers, AWS, GCP, but I still know that the control point is also with me, that anytime I can switch off that what I want to use and what I don't want to use. And how do I also ensure that my entire infra is compliant, like security compliant, risk posture compliant. So we introduced this product, and I think suddenly we are seeing a lot of interest from clients saying that, okay, how exactly it will help me to gain control back? Because I think with lot of softwares models coming, people also are feeling a loss of control. That
Yeah,
I
I
am not
agree.
having
Absolutely.
control.
In most of the CISO circles, this is the discussion.
This is the discussion,
Yeah.
right? So I think we are trying to get to that part. So that's a one part of helping you to gain control back by, let's say, literally like having this control plane sitting in your organization. From an infrastructure point of view, we have certain clients who are saying, let's say defense for that matter, I think it's a zero public cloud. I need everything on premise in my premises to be done, or some sensitive data. So there, from an infra standpoint, we have multiple choices which we are working with our clients. I think quantum is slightly far off, and I think quantum requires a lot more distinction, saying that what I can't solve by classic computing will go to quantum, which is, I think, still a few 2 to 3 years away. We are doing that investment to create a quantum startup, but that's not really AI centric. It's very quantum centric part of it. From other perspective, in fact, I was sharing with somebody that at what speed you can do fraud detection, right? UPI fraud detection, let's say. Look at the speed, look at the volumes, what we are talking about. And we were debating one day that how can this happen on cloud? Because if multiple systems, something is running somewhere, can I do a fraud detection at the pace at which UPI transaction happened? And then my mainframe team, IBM infrastructure mainframe team, which now is available with open technology version called Linux. So mainframe now comes with Linux flavor. They were telling me it's impossible, Geeta, to do the fraud detection using any other technology but this high speed computing what we are talking about. And we are actually launching a chip called Spire, which is purpose built AI chip. So if you are absolutely clear that I want it on my premise, in my the infra also, saying that infrastructure should be mine, I should be able to do very real time AI use cases as well. So this is of course a path if you want to do non real time, because everything is not real time. In fact, in technology world, they are also debating that for every inferencing you don't need GPU. For small models, you don't need GPU. So we have also come up with these versions of IBM infrastructure called Fusion, IBM Power Systems, which doesn't necessitate that you have to have GPU. So I think lot work happening in the infrastructure space. But goodness, what I would see that we are focusing on what type of AI critical use case you are trying to solve. I will not propose you Linux one for a small loan credit risk part of it. That's not, you will say, I don't need it this much real time, Geeta. What will I do with this much real timeness? But UPI fraud detection, yes, you need. In fact, in railways, we were also talking about this whole passenger system, which is now going for a enhancement, saying that can you detect fraud in the passenger system, which is there. We actually use a lot of public data to demonstrate that it's possible for you to do that. So I would say infrastructure starting to play critical role because of this sovereign notion coming up. If I was talking to you 2 years back, I think people were not even entertaining me. They were saying, I'm piloting, I'm doing it on this cloud, I'm doing on that cloud. Let's innovation flow, don't talk control, don't talk sovereign. But I think here we are now saying that I've done MVIP, I've done MVP, I am not confident to scale because I'm losing control, right? So then depending on which regulated industry you operate, you will go for infrastructure also sitting right with you, or you can go to sovereign core, which I said, you say, no, it's okay, but I just need control. I don't need infrastructure. So those are few aspects, I would say. But as I said, quantum, it's still a little far from the utility use cases, if I were to call that.
So just two observations. As she rightly said, that data sets are very important and they should be local, contextualized. So in India AI Mission, we have got AI Kosh, which is one of the pillars. And there across 20 sectors, 66 organizations, more than 10,000 data sets have already been provided. So that data set is basically local, it has been acquired from the local organizations, and then this data set is something that is readily available for those who want to do research, for the institutes, for the industry, they can use this data. So data availability can be a constraint in some of the cases when you are not resourceful. So that, and that too, local data is part of the AI course. We intend to further strengthen it, that when our startups will have their models, the use cases and data of that will also be part of it. Second was that she talked about quantum. There I think we are underestimating quantum. Quantum is the dark horse in this race.
Absolutely.
And a lot of things are going to happen if quantum succeeds, that entrapment, superposition do work at a distance. Our entire cyber security is at great risk. So post-quantum cryptography is something which we need to focus. People are already harvesting data in anticipation that when the quantum will come, it will be effective. So don't think that quantum is 2-3 years away, so we can be casual on that front. Rest assured, quantum can be the next big thing in technology.
No, absolutely. I think quantum security, as you rightly said, post-quantum crypto, and I also saw government publishing the roadmap. Post-quantum crypto roadmap has been published by Government of India. In fact, we started working few customers on the product also. We have a product to address that.
So in fact,
but quantum is a computing from an AI perspective is what I was saying.
So
that
my I know that I put in quantum when I asked you that question, but the reason for doing that was really that I believe that AI is not something on its own, right? Sudeep ji said about how data is kind of like the stream that goes through the whole thing. And if you look at, particularly at government scale, if you look at why some of the initiatives haven't gone through completely that could have, is also because of, let's take land records as an example, just as an example. So if you take land records, it kind of needs like a blockchain kind of ledger kind of implementation there. And if you bring in quantum along with AI, along with other infrastructure, then it kind of becomes a force multiplier there. That was the reason I threw in quantum as part of the sovereign infrastructure. Truly, I get it that there is sovereign data and there is sovereign compute and there is sovereign AI in terms of foundational models and so on. But the fact that your capability, absolutely agree with him on the post-quantum crypto, but also the fact that not just look at it from a security angle, but also in terms of public infrastructure, really.
So since we are talking quantum, I would just like to state that Government of India, realizing the importance of quantum, has already launched a national quantum mission, and it has got 4 pillars: the quantum computing, the quantum communication, quantum sensing, and materials. And they have got a thematic hub for each of these pillars. and this is a very critical thing that is going to happen. You see, we need more GPUs because there is lot more petaflops to be processed. Now a qubit or a quantum bit can do large chunk of data processing compared to a bit. So who knows, I am not a forecaster of anything, but if qubits come and they become a reality, then maybe we may not be even requiring GPUs.
True, true.
So technology is one area where we should always be very proactive, and government has already started missions across sector, be it the AI mission, be it the national quantum mission, be it national supercomputing mission. Government is very conscious of this fact that we have to move with the technology. We suffered historically on that account. We have to be a colony because we missed the industrial revolution. We cannot ill afford to miss another technology revolution.
True.
So on emerging technology, government is putting lot of emphasis these days, and 20-30 years back you have never heard of institutes or organizations having a startup and those startups working on so many things, but these days it is so common. So this ecosystem has been created because of government's effort, and in due course of time you will be seeing more patents, more visibility and more use cases coming from all those things.
True.
In fact, quantum Amravati Valley, IBM is putting the quantum computer with TCS and government of AP.
Yes.
That's the first quantum coming to India as a physical form of quantum computer. So yeah, that's
Absolutely. Now that we are firmly talking about infrastructure, I want to move over to the infrastructure part of our discussion. Just setting the stage for that discussion, compute, storage and cloud utilization is now about 50 to 60% of enterprise AI spending. Unoptimized workloads can raise costs by 30-40%. Up to 80% of AI project time and budget is spent on data readiness, which is the least glamorous but most essential determinant of scale. Enterprises that invest early in hybrid cloud, MLOps and shared data platforms report 20 to 35% lower long-term operational costs. And efficiency strategies remain underused but can reduce AI infra costs by 25 to 50%. So this is just data from various studies as a background for this part of our discussion. Anurag, your thoughts on how you would evaluate decision around on-prem, cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, the variations?
Yeah, so it's like one shoe doesn't fit everyone kind of a situation. There are a lot of factors that come into play when we are making an investment decision. We're starting with something like at what stage of the AI curve you are at. What is your maturity level on that front? As Sudeep also mentioned, I think data is the foundation on which most of the sophisticated solutions are built. And in our ecosystem, I think we are still struggling with the quality of data. That ways, I think AI Coach is a tremendous initiative, and we are very positive and very curious about how that service develops over time, because not only the quantity, the quality of data is going to improve, and we will be able to leverage that kind of data from a reliable source, which we have always been trying to figure out how to get it. So that's a great part. So as I said, data is one of the biggest things. If your data ecosystem is mature enough, then you start thinking about the next level. Now see that you have data readiness, but on the AI side, you are just entering that space. Till now you have done some traditional ML, and now you are moving into the Gen AI, agentic AI space. For experimentation purpose, I think typically cloud is the best place to begin with, because you don't want to make on-prem investments at the beginning of your journey. You have to first understand what suits your organization, what kind of solutions, what kind of volumes you're talking about, what kind of steady state we have envisioned. So starting point typically is with cloud solutions, those pilots that you do. Once you have identified your niche areas where you want to operate, develop and evolve from there on, that's when you decide, that's when you move to a hybrid model. You have to have certain capabilities on-prem, especially from the industry where I come from. Regulation is very, very stringent. Financial services is very heavily regulated industry. So data related to customer PIIs, transactions, those kind of information, we would still be a bit wary putting it out there on cloud. So idea is to have certain on-prem features where you can have a predictable kind of solution working out there, where you know the volumes, you know the predictable nature of the outcome, sensitive information, those things would be managed on-prem. Where I need elastic scaling, maybe business cycles, maybe certain events, monthly cycles, whatever it is, where I need elastic scaling, which is not required on a regular basis, I would try to deploy those solutions on cloud. So that kind of a balance you need to have. You want to experiment, you do it in cloud. You want to manage a regulatory framework and regular insight, you do it on-prem. But as I said, it all depends upon where you are, how profitable you are. You were talking about the CFO not being aligned with the outcome. If my profitability, if my pockets are not deep enough to talk about an enterprise-wide AI overhaul, then these things become just very theoretical for me, and I'm just going to do with certain pilots on cloud and play around with it. Ideal state is a hybrid model where you pick and choose depending upon the impact it has on the business, the cost you are going to incur, and the return ROI that you're going to get out of it, and you strike a balance. We're talking about sovereignty at a national level. I think that is one aspect. You have to take it down at a very granular level as well. Unless and until organizations start thinking of building their own IPs on AI front, creating certain in-house solution and not relying only on external service providers for plug-and-play solutions. We are not going to, I would say, evolve in a mature way in this space. So there has to be ideal balance. When you say on-prem and cloud, I also add another element, an in-house AI team as well as service providers who are in the outside environment. So you need to have that, because if you don't have the right skill set within the organization to evaluate, to see what a service provider is bringing onto the table, if you can't make those kind of judgments and you just have to rely on 20 slides to see what the ROI is going to be, then I think you are going, in long run, it's not a very sustainable model. So,
true. Mansi?
Yeah, I would completely agree to him, and I think Apollo has been lucky that since 3 years we are on this journey already, and we have invested in Telangana Hub, the digital hub. We already have a space there where a very young AI team is sitting, and also we have divided AI into 3 pillars in Apollo. One is the manufacturing pillar, where we have a different leader. Second is the non-manufacturing pillar, which is run in Telangana Hub, and third is the employee productivity, as Geeta also said, that productivity is very important. And fourth is we have put an AI ethics body around it, so that it. But second is, like you have rightly said, it has to flow from the top with good budgets. So right now, there also I think we are lucky that our management is very open, and they have given that right now let's not look at budgets. Let us really look at the ROI and the how we can put AI in all our departments, and we are working with IBM actually to get this scale up. Where how we can just put in everywhere AI, and the best part is that all the leaders they want AI to be embedded in. It is not an IT project.
Right.
It is something which is driven from the business side, and a mandate given from the MD to all the departments that what are you doing, what are your initiatives. So 32 use cases have already been identified, which they are working on, and these are all mostly manufacturing, and like he rightly said, some plants and all. But yes, where cloud and hybrid and stuff is concerned, so our strategy is cloud first, where infrastructure is concerned. That is what we have been doing that. But so what we have done is, like right now on AWS, but we have creating our own tenant with our own LLM model, with our own, everything will be enterprise driven. That is very clear. Security is very clear that they have told us we should not police people, let people explore it. But yes, how we can give them again an enterprise model to explore. So that is very clear that put it on the cloud. But the only thing is that because we have a lot of portals, now you dealing with customers, it's a lot of personal data. In manufacturing, you don't have that much personal data, but there's a lot of OT data which is getting created. There's a lot of IP which we are creating. Then we deal with a lot of big OEMs like Mercedes, BMW of the world. So, we have a lot of data from that. They're also very critical about the fact that how you are using our data, are you using our data to create the models? So there we are thinking of putting it on, that the OT side of things should remain there. But as he rightly said, I think journey is hybrid for everyone.
So when we were talking about infrastructure, we spoke about hardware, software, cloud, all that. I now want to talk about humanware, which is our capacity to. Human beings are also part of the infrastructure, and I now would like to ask Sudeep ji, how should leaders balance sovereign capability with ecosystem partnerships to develop talent, to develop human capital?
Very relevant question. Ultimately, when we talk of sovereignty, the end objective is that we are able to serve the people. AI will be good. As I said, for us AI is RFI, return for India. So till the last man in the queue is benefited from that AI, the purpose of AI will not be completed. Just one caution, when we just say use AI term loosely for everything, just as there's a saying, all that glitters is not gold, so all that is coded is not AI. So we need to factor that.
Fair enough.
So the thing is that we work with an intention, the India AI mission works, that we have to have a good partnership with the private sector in providing affordable and accessible services of AI to the people. For example, if we come to the compute pillar of India AI mission, so here we empanel basically cloud service providers, which are private players. They have to have the compute facility within the geographical limits of India, and these cloud service providers then are empaneled, and their cloud or the committed GPUs or the compute that they have is put on a portal. The users, they can be from research sector, academics, industry, government departments, they can then apply on that compute portal after registering. So once their application is accepted, then they are allotted a particular CSP for giving them the requisite compute power. So this usage is booked in terms of the GPU hours, and then we give 40% subsidy. So suppose if you are using a GPU hour and you have used, with the total cost is 100 rupees, then the 40 rupees of that will be paid by India AI mission. The end user has to pay only 60 rupees. Also, because we have a very competitive bidding at the stage of empanelment, and the rule is that for all the empaneled agency, the rate of L1 will be applicable to all the other agencies also.
Okay.
So suppose there are 5 players and A was L1, then B, C, D and E will also have to match their rates, and allocation will be done in such a way that first L1 compute will be allocated, then whosoever was L2 and now has become has matched his rates to L1, then his compute will be allocated. So it has made compute very affordable. We have always been saying that India is a country where mobile rates are lowest in the world. Now we are very soon will be moving in that direction, where India will be a country where the compute rate will also be lowest, affordable to a common person, to a common student, even to those people who are working for farmers, for the poor, for those people who cannot afford things. They will also be getting benefit out of this compute pillar.
Perfect.
If I can just add one thing towards, and you just brought about a very beautiful point in success of this AI journey, that is incentivizing that option. A lot of, I think across the industry, we sometimes miss, a lot of times we are missing this trick, that a lot of times you can bring that adoption into play by incentivizing the usage, incentivizing your workforce, people, customers. If they use this particular channel, if they use this particular framework, they are going to get a better deal or some incentives based upon that. And that's a very beautiful thing that you just mentioned. So I thought I'll definitely mention something about it, because this is one of the basic tenets. If you have to make AI adoption successful, one way or the other, this has to be baked in into your strategy.
We spoke about the India AI mission's ability to give, or rather make AI available to as wide a variety of people as possible in very reasonable ways. But let's come to the government itself. How can government departments scale AI capabilities without creating silos?
So we have got an AI application layer. So in that the problem statement come from various government ministries and departments. And then these problem statements are thrown up to startups and others who then develop the solutions. And recently you must have seen the Gyan Bharatam. So basically in Gyan Bharatam they are using the compute facility of India AI, which is actually realizing the vision of Vikas bhi, Virasat bhi, Vikas bhi. Similarly, even in fact you can see Amul has also been using India AI mission, and that was showcased during the recent summit also, where it is being getting utilized. So basically government also now has this AI mission as a sort of hand holding various ministries and department so that they can also develop their use cases of AIs and they can utilize the facilities of various pillars of India AI for achieving those things.
We will move to the next theme that I had in mind. So we spoke about ROI, we spoke about infrastructure, capabilities. How about wisely investing in this evolving landscape? So I have a few data points which we will use for this discussion. Innovation cycles have collapsed. Capabilities that took 18 to 24 months now happen in 6 to 12 months. 40% of enterprises have already invested in AI tools they later deprecated, with losses ranging from $5 million to $10 million per enterprise on average over 3 years. Regulatory compliance costs for AI are expected to rise 15 to 25% annually, especially in BFSI, healthcare, and other regulated industries. Organizations that align AI strategy with business strategy at inception realize value 30 to 50% faster. Profitability gaps are widening. By 2027, AI mature organizations are projected to outperform competitors by up to 20 percentage points. So, in this context, Anurag, this question's for you. How should organizations time their AI investments amid such rapid evolution?
I think the response would be in continuation to what I just, where I left from. It all depends upon where you are on the AI maturity curve. And if you are just starting, I think the first investment has to be on building a solid foundation of good quality data. Unless or until you have achieved that, I think everything else is secondary. As far as time is concerned, you begin with certain low-hanging fruits to give the proof of concept to the audience, to the stakeholders in the organization, because not everyone is AI aware or has intelligence around how it actually works. So you need to show certain solutions which build the faith and trust in the system that you are trying to build. So those are your, you make some initial short-term investments, low-hanging fruits, minimum viable products, which kind of establish the trust. And as Geeta was mentioning, in longer run, if you keep looking at AI solutions like a project, then you're not, then I don't think you're going to achieve maturity in longer run. You have to move out from a project mode to a product mode, where you start investment from a longer horizon in mind. You think about capability compounding, where you are talking about not this one particular solution for one particular part of the business used by one team. You need to think about translating that project into a product that can be cross leveraged by other teams, other functions, including resource pooling. Those skills have to be intelligent.
for longer runs in the. So upfront, obviously, I think that any organization that is starting on this list will not be willing to make a very huge investment with the infrastructure and the parties. The investment has to be scattered across the horizon of science. You prioritize your program. Low hanging fruits, but we have direct impact on the where you can flow into the work. A hybrid model, a hybrid investment into the infrastructure, making platforms that can be run. And as far as the changes are concerned, yes, technology changes. So whatever you build, you have to make sure to bake it as much as flexibility possible into that. Your API should be used. Your models should be a bit agnostic to that can be done. When it comes to regulatory framework, I think it does not change very rapidly and a lot of dimensions will change very quickly. You can be pretty safe on that front. What you need to do, along with the investment, you have to keep in mind that you are creating some great governance structure around it. The documentation part of it, the explainability part of it, so that with all the changes that are happening at any time, you have on that what total claims available. And you actually know where you need custom systems, where you need changes, to meet the development environment. So it's a journey that happens over a period of time, and you have to have that prioritization process on how you want to invest, for what horizon, and in what quantum.
So, Mansi, are there specific frameworks that you use that help balance short-term wins with long-term capability building?
Yeah, so I would just add to what he said. I think the short-term or long-term, what we are looking at is that what is the problem we are going to solve in the long term. Sometimes it will be that every year, like this, you don't mind, but you the first time. Earlier it was cloud, then it was something like now it's clear. So now, do we want to do it for the heck of it? That you are really anybody talking about it, or every department wants to do something, or is there a specific problem you want to solve short term and long term? So that is the biggest India's thinking for scale in the organization. That is the statement it is using. First, we feel that the problem with the spread. The short term wins, I think, as you rightly said, that really impact the business. But also, as we said, productivity. Because you might not see a lot of monetary gains, with short-term things, but if you see even the production, they not even, asking for leave, but so that they can do something there. It's something which I will share with you. And I think in short term, the thing which all other organizations look at is training the resources to use it. Because yes, it's here to stay, but what I think as an individual, which I've seen in a lot of discussions and all, that everybody is talking about it, but still there is a lot of knowledge gap. Even in IT, there is a lot of knowledge gap to how to drive it. So I think that is a short-term gain. If an organization can reach training the people, that is the biggest gain they can do. Yeah.
Mohit, how do you approach prioritization for this?
Yeah, so as you said in the earlier remarks, that there is silos with respect to the use of AI in government departments. So we have identified this problem. So she said that identification of the problem is very important. So we have identified that problem in 2023 when we came out with Sanchar Sathi. So what we are doing in Department of Telecom is we have designed a system, digital intelligence platform, which is using AI. On it, we have more than 1,200 organizations, banks, state LEAs, central LEAs, financial institutions, and others. So what we are doing is we are sharing the real-time intelligence information. If you observe that the scale of cybercrime and digital frauds using telecom resources is increasing day by day. If we see the data of 2024, there was around 23,000 crores of the fraud and more than 33 lakhs complaint on NCRP portal of the I4C. So this is a huge problem. So three initiatives I would like to discuss under Sanchar Sathi. One is ASTR, in which we use AI to detect the fraudulent connections, the connections that have been taken on fraudulent documents. So these connections, the details of these connections we share with telecom service providers. They re-verify, they do the re-verification of subscribers. Using this, we have disconnected around 86 lakhs of mobile connections, which may be used or have been used in the carrying out the cyber frauds. Second initiative I would like to share is there is a Chakshu module on the Sanchar Sathi on which, see, there is a facility for reporting the cyber fraud once it has occurred, but there was no facilities to the citizen to report a malicious call or a suspected fraud communication or a SMS or a WhatsApp message. So on Chakshu module, the people can report on suspicious fraud communication, SMS or call. So we use AI and data analytics to analyze all these reports, all these patterns, and we take actions on that. And we have disconnected around 2.5 lakhs handsets. We have disconnected around 8 lakhs mobile connections based on the inputs received from the citizen. Another the important AI initiative that Geeta was also talking about, that we can't stop the UPI payments in the real time. But in that sense, we have observed that once cybercrime has occurred, there is very less means to get the data, to get the money back. If we go by the NCRP data, there is only 18 to 20% recovery rate, and that too after going to the court and something like that. But what we are doing in our department using AI is FRI, Financial Fraud Risk Indicator. What is it in? That different intelligence agencies, state LEAs, banks mainly, they are sharing that if a fraud has occurred using a mobile number, then this information is shared in the real time. Now we collaborate all this information, we use AI data analytics and use and share this information to the other stakeholders. Like Paytm is also onboarded on our DIP. PhonePe is also onboarded on DIP. So once these suspicious numbers are there, we categorize these numbers into 3 categories: very high risk, high risk, and the medium risk. For the first 2 categories, this high risk and very high risk, we are stopping the real-time payments. For example, if I am trying to send certain payment to a very high risk number, then it will not happen. There will be a message that this number has been flagged very high risk and your payment can't go through. For the medium risk, there will be a message displayed on the screen, alert will be there that this is a medium risk category. If you still want to go, then you can do it. So there is a part of due diligence. So in the last 9 months, we have saved close to 1,600 crore rupees. 1,600
Wow.
crore. So this is a good initiative that I want to share, that all the stakeholders, banks, RBI, even RBI has also issued directions to the banks to use FRI.
Brilliant.
Good example of collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah. With-
Cross department, cross
Yeah.
ministry, everything. Cross regulation as well, actually. Yeah. Dr. Angel, would you like to share some of your initiatives?
For us also, we have like a fraud risk management unit. So there also we are using like pattern recognition, like how we can like, find the frauds happening and all that. But we are not doing it real time. For us, it is mostly at a primitive stage where we are doing probably post-mortem, I would say. But we are like going there, or probably we'll reach there, but we do not have that level of thing that sir had thing, but we are moving there. Our financial thing also, we have like this high risk, medium risk and low risk things, but not on the real time. Like I said, it's basically post-mortem sort of thing. We are moving there. We have rolled out our advanced postal technology, and hopefully we will incorporate AI into this, and we will also reach the level that sir was saying.
Are there any tactical solutions that you envisage that you might want to do for like quick wins, quick deployments?
In my department per se, we do a lot of things like mail and parcel delivery. So I was just discussing with Geeta madam about route optimization, our expected date of delivery, like your parcel will be connected to which flight. So this is the immediate quick wins that we are talking about. And even automation as such, like we can have, okay, this is the expected number of parcels that are coming. So how much workforce should we deploy? So even human resource management using AI. So that could be a way forward. So this is what we envisage in mails and parcels. And even on the marketing front, we are looking to acquire a tech stack that could like help us get customers. And this is again intelligent thinking using AI. So at the end of the day, we stand like, I would like to build on what Sudeep sir was saying, that we want to reach even the last mile. So AI for all. So in that, I believe my department is doing like the initial steps. We are taking the small steps, not building on what do you say, profits or anything like that, but reaching the last mile where no person is reaching. So given
In
our
fact,
presence,
I think the Department of Post is pretty much the only means of communication if we can't get a phone line there.
True. So that is the thing, and we have around 1.66 post offices as well, where no one reaches, we go. So we could be that human face of AI.
Absolutely. I was going to say you're probably the human ware for a lot of this infrastructure.
True.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would like to end by saying that probably we play a huge role in AI for all.
Right. I would like to welcome each of you in turn to just say one sentence that you got to know about in this roundtable. One thing that you did not know earlier or you did not think of earlier that way. Mansi will
Yeah, I
start
can
with you.
start. I think I'm really amazed to see the initiatives government is taking. I knew I visited AI Summit, but the clarity, the way he explained,
Absolutely.
it was amazing. Yeah.
Anurag?
I've just
Yeah, I
taken
think
some notes also.
that's the easy pick. Exactly. And
No, I'm like very true about it.
I
Yeah.
was really intrigued by the way Mohit mentioned about
Yeah.
infrastructure mapping using the telecom
Absolutely.
network. That was very intriguing, and I would definitely like to touch base maybe offline and understand a bit more from you on that front. That's something really great.
Yeah, I was amazed by what Geeta said, that we are coming with Spire chip of 5, that our Indian ecosystem is developing these things. So it's a very really amazing thing, and we will see some transformative changes in the future with respect to AI.
Sudeep ji, I'll ask you last. Dr. Angel?
Again, we have this discussion, AI versus AI collapsing on itself and all that. So again, when ma'am said about sovereign core with a built-in off switch, that actually kind of shows a line of thinking, like how everyone is thinking, okay, we need an off switch for AI. So that was a very eye-opening thing. I was amazed by what Apollo Medicals is doing, and Anurag sir as well, that what they are doing in finance, this one. So like even risk management, mortgage and all what he was saying, that was also truly eye-opening. So I got to see the other side. Like we as government, we are doing this, but what the other side is doing, that was a very enriching experience.
I would say not one, I think I have 2, 3 from each. So it's like 10 plus.
But you can do
sometimes.
one each.
Yeah. No, but interestingly, and I will like admit very transparently with all of you, whenever I thought fraud, I was always associating it with financial institutes. I could never comprehend that how telecom, how Department of Post, of course your industry definitely there, but these two were like literally eye-opener to say that with amount of digitization we are looking for, fraud is becoming like or risk is becoming a critical pillar. And I honestly didn't think about these two industry as my top of mind to say that you play such a critical role in risk and a fraud part of it. So that's like a truly aha moment for me is what I would say. It's like an enlightenment that you start thinking about that so many people play a role when it comes to fraud.
For me, I have to say the biggest thing that I learned today is we've been doing this series for a while now. So between roundtables and panel discussions, this is the 10th installment of this event that we've been doing since last July or so. And when we started these conversations, how we used to speak about AI, as in me as a moderator and panelists, representatives from IBM. Geeta and I are in the same roundtable for the second time this time, but there is a gentleman, Rajesh Malhotra, whom I have already been with 3 times. And I think when we have our next roundtable in Bombay, we'll be there together 4 times. The biggest change that I see is the rate at which the nature of the conversation has changed between July and now, the first week of March. The way in which we seem to have embraced AI, and I'm talking not just about individual companies, I'm talking about the nation itself, the way we've changed. It did not occur to me till today when I hear Mohit and Dr. Angel and Sudeep ji speak about government work around this. It did not occur to me that it was fundamental for this change that I saw to happen. With that, Sudeep ji, I invite you to give me your comments.
So it's a privilege to giving comment after the concluding remarks from the moderator. For me, the biggest takeaway from this roundtable is that across sectors, what I saw, even from the private sector, across government departments, the utilization of AI is already happening.
Yes.
There is awareness, there is buzz, there are activities. And that is what probably when Honorable Prime Minister defined AI as all-inclusive.
Yes.
So that dream is getting realized when we see that across sectors AI is being adopted as a solution, as a layer to help people in finding the solution to their various problem statements. So this is a takeaway, and ultimate objective of the AI mission is also that India is AI ready, and because of the recent steps that have been taken, I am very happy to inform that in AI competitiveness and readiness index, India stands 3rd in the world. So our rank, which was earlier 7th or something, after AI mission has now become 3rd. US and China are number 1 and 2, and we do expect that with this kind of approach, with all-inclusive approach, we will be very soon heading the top of the table, and India will be an example for the global south to follow in adopting AI for solving the problem of its masses. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude this roundtable. Thank you so much for joining us.